Jobs data and inflation data coming at the same time. Let's see what we get. All right. Got the dollar index slightly lower. Gold shot up, then came back down. Euro and the pound taking on a little heat here. Let's take a look here what we've got. Somebody in the chat said core PPI came in at 0.3%. Numbers already out on FX Street, so let's take a look here. All right, so producer price index core PPI on a year-over-year basis did come down to 2.4%. That was better than expected. Not bad. Okay, so that's a positive for the market, negative for the dollar. Jobless claims came in at, consensus was 230,000. We got 230,000, so kind of a non-report there. What's going on, Forex Factory? Where are you at today? You got to wake up. There it is. So 230,000 unemployment claims, so pretty much as expected. So this is a, let's just take that out of the picture because that's kind of unimportant. Month over month PPI was higher than expected. They revised the previous down from what, 0.1? Revised from 0.1. Core PPI higher than expected month over month, and revised lower to 0%. All right, let's go take a look at some individual charts, see if we can make anything out of this. I want to take a look selfishly first at gold because it's something I've got a long position on. Come on, gold. Today's the day. Did you guys see my meme on, well, I put out a meme, but it wasn't me. It was my wonderful editor, Chandler, put together an amazing SpongeBob meme yesterday. It's like the day 5, day 15 SpongeBob ringing the bell one. You guys, if you have not seen it, you can follow me on Instagram. It's one of my latest posts. Chandler put that together. I thought it was really funny. It was from yesterday's stream where we've been talking about, and I got to say it again, gold is going on day 20. Day 21. Day 21 of not breaking out either direction, up or down. And what we see here is prices right back to the top. I've got this gold position on. I've been sitting in this gold position since they invented gravity. That's how long it feels. I'm just kidding. They never invented gravity. There's that one, there's that infamous Trisha Paytas moment where she's like, she asks, like, who invented gravity or something like that, as if it... Anyways. Is this news bullish or bearish for the stock market? Burns, that's a good question. I'm going to try and figure it out myself here in just a second. So gold, I'm just going to do gold really quick. I mean, I wish I had sold some calls against my position here. I would have made some nice premium waiting on this thing to do nothing. But that's not really something I do in my momentum strategy. But man, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of momentum in gold right now. It doesn't feel like there's bearishness in gold, but there also just does not feel like there is some follow through to the upside on gold just yet. I want to state that when it comes to gold, I am confidently neutral. I have a long position. I take a stop out if it comes all the way back. But if we break through these highs, I can finally trail my stop loss. And when I look at the 4-hour chart, there is some structure here that makes a lot of sense for me to trail stops on if, and only if, we can get a stinking break above the all-time high. So if we get something like this, right? We get a break here. Wonderful. I can finally take this stop loss that's all the way down here and I can move it into profit. And that's probably what I will do. If we get a big close today, then I can finally lock in some gains on this gold position that I've been sitting in for a minute. So let's talk about the stock market for a second. So, Burns just asked in the chat, is this news bullish or bearish for the stock market? Well, let's just kind of summarize it really simply. Jobs data. Was it good or bad? It was neutral, right? Because claims came in about as expected. So the market's like, whatever. PPI, better or worse than expected? Why is it neutral? Neutral because it's neutral because, look, month over month, it was higher than expected. Year over year, it's lower than expected. We just put our hands like this. I can't fit fully on the screen. Put our hands like this and we say, look, it's kind of a washout. That being said, guys, yesterday's data point was similar and the market ripped. I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and say I don't want this to happen because I'm not in it, but I think the S&P 500 is going to like this. We're at 2.4. Inflation seems completely beaten for now. The beast has gone to sleep again. It's like the dragon has gone back to its lair. That is inflation. And so, the way I'm seeing this and I'm thinking, okay, inflation's not a problem. And when something kind of just takes a back seat, the stock market in that environment, if problems just take a back seat, stock market usually, from my experience, starts to drift higher.
Market analysis, free trading courses, edge finder data, and special offers. What do these things all have in common? They're all available for you right now inside of our free Discord. You can click the link down in the description below to join the free Discord today and get access to all of this and more. Stay up to date with all the latest trading information and A1 content. And if you want to upgrade to our Gold VIP Discord that features every single trade that Trader Nick and our other professional analysts take, you can find the links for that in the description as well. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
The stock market is kind of like the VIX in reverse. The VIX demands, for it to go up a lot, it demands escalating fear. The VIX doesn't just go up and drift up. It rarely drifts up. The VIX, which is the volatility index, which tracks options activity and basically gives us a reading of fear or greed in the market. The VIX shooting up requires escalating fear. The stock market to go down requires escalating fear. So today's data, I'm going to argue, even though I am cautious on the stock market right now, neutral readings kind of lean in favor of the bulls because we've got rate cuts around the corner. So here I am. I'm not in a bunch of long positions on the index. I'm just pointing out the way I see it today. PPI, not threatening. CPI yesterday, arguably good. Unemployment claims today, good enough, right? Not bad. But remember, for the stock market to go down, you need escalating fear. For the stock market to go up, you need things to be chill. Now again, that's why if you're right about bearish moves in the stock market, you can make a lot of money very quickly because fear can make really quick movements, and really quick movements can make you a lot of money. So where am I at? I'm just staying neutral on the stock market. So I have a bullish bias. Come on, gold. Can you do it today? If you tease me one more time, if gold teases me one more time by going up to this area and then closing down in the middle of this range today, I don't know if I can handle it, guys. I don't know. Here's what I want to see. I want to see, let's try and coerce gold into going higher by playing a hype song. Okay? Come on. Come on, gold. Come on. I'm being ridiculous. We know the market does not give any amount of emphasis on what we are individually wanting or needing, or it doesn't even care about our stop losses. It doesn't care about any of that. I'm just being an idiot. But I would really like to see gold make a move. At this point, guys, I don't even care. If gold wants to break down and stop me out and start trending again, I would accept that almost. because I've been sitting in this, and my gold trade's not even a big trade. On my account, it's not a big position. That being said, I would prefer it to go up. Too early for this. What we need is a perfect candle.
Perfect candle. That green candle.
Frank's notorious perfect candle moment was when we were talking about a candle that looked kind of like this one, where it was just a green beast mode candle, and Frank and I were both long, and he said like perfect candle. So
perfect candle.
It's one of my favorite sounds on the soundboard. So dollar CAD, potential bullish setups. So I like this on the 4-hour chart quite a bit. So got a nice level of support here, right? We've got a support level here. We've got a support zone, generally speaking here. A little bit cautious on the daily chart because we have some resistance overhead. You know, we saw this here, this resistance point come into play again. That being said, though, I kind of still like the risk to reward on this. And I think that dollar CAD might be a play here at some point. Oh, come on, gold. Gold's up 0.67. Let's do it. Let's see it happen today. Today's the day. Speak it into existence. I'm going crazy watching that gold trade chop. I mean, can we just acknowledge, is that not such an ugly chart? You know who just said, no, that's a beautiful chart? Is somebody who buys and sells highs and lows. Like if you bought here, sold. Like if you were just trading the range, then you're like, that's the prettiest chart I've ever seen. That is a mosaic right there. But if you are like me, you trade trends or look for like breakouts, retests, continuation plays, this is such a horrific looking chart. That being said, still long gold. Come on, let's see it happen. Today's the day. Breaking out. I'd love to see it above and close above that white dotted line here on GLD. If we can close above today, I will finally trail stops. Excuse me. So let's get that perfect candle.
That green candle right there.
Anyways, dollar CAD was what I was looking at. So dollar CAD, I don't hate it. I think that there might be some decent opportunities here. Dollar CAD's getting a +5 on the edge finder. It's got an upward trend, spotting GDP differentials between the two being strong for the US. So growth of the US economy looking strong relative to Canada's. Services and manufacturing PMIs kind of mixed here between the two. Take a look at retail sales, favor the US. Employment change favors Canada in this case, but unemployment rate favors the US. So some mixed sentiment there. Interest rates coming down for the US pretty aggressively. So I have enough of a conviction here to potentially take a trade on dollar CAD. If I did take this trade, I'd look for, because we've got resistance up here, I'm going to look for this, and I want to just see really quick where these line up. Yeah. So something like this could be interesting. Maybe a pullback into this area. Stops below here, looking for the break, continuation of this. If I take that trade, I'll share it inside of the Discord channel. Miko, do you have a chart of the day for us?
Yes, I do. Eyeing up Euro USD longs. Haven't entered yet, but I'm waiting for this 4-hour to close. And if it closes how I want it to, I will look for an entry. Key thing I'm looking for is momentum, and we just had a bit of a push right now, I think, from the news. So if we can get a solid close there, I will be looking for an entry. But the idea with this Euro long idea is that we had a lovely move to the upside during August, and I'm looking at now at this bearish move just being a pullback for the market to continue. We've been showing really nice signs of higher highs and higher lows on the daily chart. I'm looking to see if I can find the next higher low. I marked out a couple of other levels which I'm looking at should we have a deeper pullback, because I have drawn out this fib and I do like this 0.5 area and this 0.618 area. So if this area was to fail, I will be looking for some more entries deeper down. But for now, I'm happy with this. We're looking like we're having a nice reaction at that low. I just need to wait for that candle to close, and I could be looking to enter pretty soon. But yeah, this is the best one for me. I was looking at pound as well, but euro looks better. So yeah, I'll say euro longs for now.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I like that setup. I think the EU and GU, so the pound and the euro, both have some interesting chart pullbacks setting up. I've been watching them myself as well. Pound USD also looks really interesting, by the way, but we'll broaden our scope in just a minute. Let's go to Marco in terms of your top your chart of the day. Chart of the day, whatever you want to look at. Number one, I guess, most convicted chart currently.
Yeah, unfortunately for today on this 1 hour chart, things are looking pretty corrective and range bound. So the only thing I'm actually looking for is for, let's say, range bound entry of buying this bottom or selling this top right here on the euro and the US dollar. EJ is looking pretty corrective on this 1 hour. Aussie and US dollar maybe looking for a range bound entry. AJ is pretty corrective. Pound US dollar is also pretty flat here, and NJ is the same story. So for me, the 1 hour chart is not telling me much, and it's a day of patience, let's say. The JPY pairs were definitely showing like a big downtrend. If we go to EJ, for example, it was showing a nice downtrend. But again, just could not commit, didn't give me any very high probability entries. I did take a sell setup, but it was a loss, unfortunately. So I want to see it continue down, to be honest, maybe tomorrow, but most likely next week, and then I'll be looking for some setups. For now, I'm just sitting on my hands.
Okay, fair enough. And I guess I'll go just give you guys my quick chart of the day. I was making noise about it when you first joined, but my gold has got to be my chart of the day, because I have been sitting in this, guys, for 21 days now, where price has gone absolutely nowhere. It's kind of a small position too, which makes it even more frustrating. So I've got like a small size on gold long, and we're finally seeing the breakout potentially form. I'm very curious, and I imagine this also carries over to what you were saying, Miko, with the euro dollar trade idea. Is like, let's see these candles close with some decisiveness. Let's see, some bullishness hold here for both gold and euro, which for those who may not be familiar with the interaction between those two, euro, dollar, and gold typically have a positive correlation. So we will see how that candle closes. But for me, my chart of the day would be gold. For me, this is a position that I've been in, and why this is an important day potentially is that if we do get a closure above here, if we get a nice all-time high close, that will give me, in my rule set, a okay to actually trail my stop loss from where it currently sits into profit, and I will probably do so on the 4 hour chart. So when I marked up this trade idea, I had this white line, which is the all-time high. I basically said from the beginning, I'm going to hold on loosely to this idea. If we break through the highs, I'd like to trail. If we don't, I'm out. So it's a pretty good risk reward trade currently. I think it's floating, let's see, about a 5-to-1. I shoulda, coulda, woulda put a lot more size in this trade because it's a small position for me. But a win's a win, and I'm gonna probably get a chance to trail stops here if we can hold gains. So that's my chart of the day, and a good start after what has been kind of a not really rough week for me. But I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. So I'm feeling frustrated because I went long the S&P 500. I'm going to ask you guys about the stock indices in just a second. I went long over here, made a good bit of money on this move higher. I trailed my stop loss here, and I got trailed out when this candle fell off a cliff. And I felt like an absolute hero for the next few days, because I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I got out of this trade, market sank lower, and I'm just sitting on the sidelines, sipping lemonade. Like it was like I dodged a bullet kind of thing. And then the market snapped back, and it's like a weird thing because I didn't have a position on, but this like frustrated me. It doesn't make any sense because I'm not in the trade, but I'm like, I had wanted that thing to keep going lower so that I could have felt like, even more of a hero. But that's just an example of psychologically how it's so weird how that works. I'm not even impacted by the market going up because I don't have a position on, and yet I'm still being frustrated with it. So Miko, I guess long story short, what are your thoughts currently on where indices are at, S&P, NASDAQ, whatever you'd like to look at? And I guess to couple it with that situation, how do you handle those moments where, you get stopped out and then the market moves in a different direction than you wanted to, something like that?
Yeah, it's been an interesting week for the indices. Nas, US 30, S&P, other indices as well, all seeing a lot of upside. I think it's been an interesting one because they're not necessarily, looking at the Dow Jones, not necessarily flying to the upsides. It has been pretty corrective for a while. So they are kind of just slowly chugging away. And I have been looking at Nas a lot. Again, I'm still longer-term bullish. The daily, the weekly chart, the trend is still very much at play. So I still do see them eventually pushing up, but they have been a bit awkward to the trade. And looking at that S&P position you spoke about, of course, in hindsight, it looks you a bit unfortunate, but closing a trade after a breakout like that made a lot of sense. And another universe has kept falling. But I do think we can probably see the indices continue to rise if that higher time frame bias is going to come through, especially with the news how impulsively they're pushed. It does look like they're starting to form a bit of a bottom, and some pullbacks, some re-entries could be looking good for them. In terms of missing trades and being stopped out and seeing price go in your favor, of course, that's the reality of a trader, which we all kind of know of. But then again, once you experience it, of course, it's difficult to take. In terms of my personal experience, I think the best remedy for that is always just to focus on the long term, because I can think of a year ago, I've been stopped out of position, seeing price go my way, it's being annoying. But a year later, it doesn't really have a bearing on your trajectory as a trader. So always think about the long term and think, does this, missing out of this position impact the success of me as a trader? No, it doesn't. So always know there's a new trade coming and just focus on the long term, because at the end of the day, that's where our focus is as a trader.
That's a great point. And that's, I like the way you started that too, where you said in another, universe, it continued to plummet and you would have felt better about it. But it's so true. If you repeat the same, approach over and over, there are going to be times where it feels foolish. And there's going to be other times where you feel very thankful that you played it the way you did. So good points there. I guess, Marco, same question in terms of indices and where you see them at, where you see momentum, as well as how to deal with when the market kind of whips you out of a trade.
So for the S&P 500, I can definitely spot a pattern that I like to trade, which is the V reversal. It is a bullish pattern. It is right here. It's also called a cup and handle, or it's called a inverse head and shoulders, but basically it's a bullish pattern. So I would expect to see more upside on this daily chart. Maybe a smaller one is printing here as well, if you can see it, if it can finish on the top. So I'm bullish on the S&P, but yeah, getting stopped out, it's kind of it's part of the game. You're gonna get stopped out, and then you're gonna have the position flying. I had a case one or two times in the last 3 years where the trade went to 10% profit and then reversed all the way back to my trailing stop loss and took me out for like 0.5% or like a 1% gain. So that was pretty tough to watch, but it's all a part of trading. You cannot refine it so that you do not experience those hard times. Like, everyone goes through it and there is no cure to solve it. You just have to experience it. And I also wanted to ask, so where was the initial stop loss for your gold trade? Was it where it's currently marked? So do you still have it there, or
still the same spot, just below that that level of support, around 2460?
Nice. It's pretty small stop loss. I thought you used bigger stop losses.
I usually do. Well, actually, initially it was bigger. So you called me out on that. I think my initial stop loss was here. And then I eventually, when we started reacting very quickly to this level, I trimmed it here. But my rule was, or my plan here was, if we can break through the highs, then I'll finally lock in some gains on this position. But I've been trying to hold on really loosely. This has been more of a swing trade intentionally, but I would like to see this thing break and continue. But we'll have to wait and see.
And do you know, like, the usual size of stop loss you use on the S&P 500?
Yeah, so I do typically try to keep an eye on like the average true range of the the S&P 500 daily range. I trade, when it comes to the S&P and the NASDAQ, etc. I typically trade the 4-hour and the daily chart. So I'm looking at what the average move is. And if I just apply the average true range, it's like a quick tip for anybody at home that wants to do this or consider this too. It's a really simple process. Basically, I just look at the average true range here. So we're moving like 80 points per day. So, that would mean that the range would be like down to here or up to here on an average day. So if I'm going to put a stop loss, I do like to get stopped out if I'm wrong within like the first 1 to 2 days. So that would give me a point distance right now of like, maybe I'm shooting for like approximately 90 to 100 points. So just give it a little bit more than the average true range daily range. So it depends on price action and structure. But I would say typically I'm looking at the ATR to give me just a general idea of where to place stops. But that's a good question.
Yeah, I've been testing the 15 pip stop loss on the 1 hour chart. Yeah. And it's not big enough. I need to increase it. So I might jump on the ATR on the 4 hour. That's going to be like 30, 40 pips. I think that's going to be the optimal because I keep getting stopped out and then the trade goes in my direction. So 15 pips on the 1 hour, I found this is pretty small.
Yeah, no, that's playing with stop loss size is really key, especially when changing instruments, when changing something to something different. Next question for you is this recent movement here on the dollar index. I'm curious, Miko, where you're at with the dollar index. Do you think we have a potential bottoming forming here? I mean, we've put in a couple lows, but we've also just been stuck in this range. Do you have a bias in the dollar? Are you neutral? Are you still bearish? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I am pretty bearish on the dollar. I do think we can head lower, but we have kind of hit a big area, which has kind of caused this consolidation. Actually, if I go to the weekly chart, actually, you can see we kind of collected a lot of wicks here, a lot of rejection over the past few months. Well, since Jan 2023. Once we did break through and we ran to 99.6, and that's kind of where I do expect dollar to make a move towards, but it depends, because if we do hold into this area, we could see room for a pullback before that does drop. And I've kind of factored that in with the Euro USD longs. If dollar is going to have a bigger pullback, I'll look for a bigger pullback in euro. But the plan is for myself to look for that lower high and a push down. So I am bearish with dollar, but yes, we have hit support. We're struggling to break through. I'll keep an eye on this zone here should we have a bigger pullback, but at the moment we're struggling at this level here. So for me, it's a bit trial and error with dollar. I know I'm expecting downside, but as to how far the market pulls back, of course, I won't know till we know. At the moment, this area is proving pretty sturdy, so hopefully we can see some downside from that. If not, then I'm looking at this 102,600 area, but I do think longer term there's room to the downside.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And Marko, same question to you. Generally speaking, dollar index looking more bullish, bearish? Is there any? I know this is a pretty choppy chart on the 4 hour. Is there anything on the 1 hour or range bound setups that you're looking at?
So DXY on the daily actually looks pretty trending to me in a big bearish downtrend. I can see some really strong legs of momentum. Currently pausing a little bit with this bullish pressure on the bottom. But overall, for me, as looking at just the technicals, I think this is still in a downtrend. So I am bearish on the DXY. The 1 hour is going to be pretty choppy, I assume. Yeah, pretty choppy. And the 4 hour is going to be the same. Yeah, just like in a flat range. But the daily is, for me, trending to the downside, approaching some major support right here and right here. So expecting a bounce. It kind of already bounced here. Yep. So expecting another bounce maybe in this area. We will see. Maybe just like a small correction before it continues dropping down. I would definitely like to see a drop down, because then my dollar pairs would make some nice trends, and that's always good.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think when it comes to the dollar index, seems like it's sort of in a limbo period as we wait for what arguably is the big event next week, which is the Fed meeting, where they're expected to cut rates for the first time. And the market is eagerly and nervously waiting to see how everything shapes up across the first rate cut. So we will have to see. It should be a very busy week next week. with all of that.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.